Hello everyone, welcome to the first annual English presentation contest. We will begin the contest in just a moment. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all contest participants and also to sincerely thank the judges for coming despite your busy schedule. My name is Mion Tanaka. I am an NHK broadcaster and have the honor of serving as Master of Ceremonies for this contest. I would like to introduce Mr. Masanori Negoro. He is the Director of the International Exchange Division of our host organization, the Okinawa International Exchange and Human Resources Development Foundation. Director Negoro will provide us with opening remarks.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to hold the first English presentation contest. As this is the first time for us to hold this contest, I was worried about how many students would participate. But I'm happy to see that 11 of you have joined us. Needless to say, the important thing in a presentation is to gain the sympathy of the audience. I'm sure you will be nervous because there will be great judges here today. But I hope you will demonstrate your ability. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Negoro. Before the presentation, I'd like to introduce our 5 honorable judges. Please stand when your name is called. Mr. Naofumi Hashimoto, Ambassador in charge of Okinawa Affairs, representative of the Government of Japan. Ms. Heather Young, Vice President for Communication and Public Relations, Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology Graduate University. Dr. Yasushi Yoshimoto, Professor, Global Language and Culture Program, Faculty of Global and Regional Studies, University of Ryukyu. Mr. Keisuke Ishii, Attorney, Kai Attorneys at Law. Mr. Hiroi Dower, former Political Military Economic Affairs Officer, U.S. Consulate General Naha, Senior Okinawa Consultant for Digital Transformation, the Engineering Group Inc. Mr. Dower will serve as the head judge for this contest. Mr. Dower will now explain the contest procedures and rules. Please come to the stage.
Hello and welcome. There are a few things to note about your presentation. Presentations will be scored on a 100-point scale. 50 points for content and organization, 30 points for persuasiveness, and 20 points for questions and answers. The content of the presentation will be selected from the 3 specified by the OIHF. And the presentation will be a problem-solving type presentation that addresses a familiar problem and presents a solution to it. The duration of the presentation should be between 5 and 7 minutes. If the presentation time is insufficient or exceeds the time limit by 1 minute or less, 10 points will be deducted. The entrant will be disqualified if the presentation time is insufficient or exceeds the time limit by more than 1 minute. In case of disqualification, the Q&A session will not be held. Please note that no bell or other signal will be given. The time for questions and answers will be limited to 3 minutes. Presenters may bring their own manuscripts to the presentation, but points will be deducted if they read from them. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much, Head Judge Dower. This year, 11 presenters will compete from among them. Participants, good luck. We are greatly looking forward to your presentations. To our judges, Please give a big round of applause when the presentations are over. Finally, we would like to welcome our first presenter. Presenter number 1, Mr. Kokoro Shinzato from Yokatsu High School. The title is Utilizing New Energy Resources to Save a Japanese Industry. Please start.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kokoro Shinzato. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kokoro Shinzato, and today I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to come and present to you today. My topic is utilizing new energy resources to save our Japanese industry. 3 trillion yen, also known as methane hydrates, can help on Japan's economy. Why is it so economically effective? Why should it become one of Japan's main energy sources? Because it is a large supply, cheaper to import, and able to be safely mined. First, what even is MH? MH is a substance called methane hydrate, where methane gas, when trapped within a crystal of water, makes a solid ice, and when set alight, burns, making its nickname vulnerable ice. MH is a natural energy resource and can be used to provide energy for Japan. The main reserves of MH are in places of low temperature and high pressure, with most being very deep under the sea. This is map showing the distribution of methane hydrates. Yellow is where MH is present, and white is where MH reserves are highly likely to be. As you can see, Japan MH reserves are concentrated in the sea surrounding Japan. These reserves are estimated to be able to be potentially usable for more than 100 years, making MH a long-lasting energy resource. Currently, the two resources that fuel Japanese society today is oil and coal. However, importing those fossil fuels are expensive. Since many reserves of MH are found in Japan's seas, import costs will be low, and if utilized, Japan will be able to economize greatly. A key advantage of MH deals with emissions produced from CO2. A big amount of CO2 is produced when coal and oil are made into energy. However, the amount of CO2 produced by MH is only 60%. In other words, MH produces 40% less emissions, with the reduced import cost and decreased CO2 in the air. MH will surely be Japan's energy future. Despite MH possibly being a key industry, there is one undeniable concern: the sea. Throughout the world, the concept of SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals, have been spread, with the 14th SDG goals feel the need to conserve and sustainably use marine resources. Therefore, great care must be taken when mining MH from the seafloor. One possible solution may be through compression and vacuuming, in which a two-layered pipe is used when drilling MH to prevent any leakage. By vacuuming MH with a two-layered pipe, damage to surrounding marine life will be reduced by as much as 90%. But since the sea is very deep, a large amount of time, technical skill, and knowledge will be required. Today, I introduced MH or methane hydrate and how utilizing this new energy resource can boost Japan's energy industry. When you go home today, try and reflect on your CO2 output. Just imagine that amount can be cut by 40% with the use of MH. Don't you want to live in a CO2 reduced, energy efficient environment? With MH, that would be possible. Let's try to utilize MH not only for ourselves, but also for a bright and eco-friendly future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. We will have 3 minute question and answer session. If there are any questions, please raise your hand.
Hi, thank you for nice presentation. My question is there any country other than Japan already using MH as a source of energy? And if so, please give us example.
Sorry, could you
Sorry, I just talked to 3 minutes. Is there any foreign country using MH as energy source already?
I don't know.
United States, China, Europe, Australia, other countries?
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Please, Ms. Yang.
Thank you very much. It was a very compelling argument. I'm very curious about the topic now. But why did you choose the topic? Do you have some sort of connection or your background in science maybe? I'm not sure. Why did you choose the topic?
Because I like chemistry. I thought vulnerable eyes look cool.
Thank you.
Okay, with Dr. Yoshimoto, please.
Thank you very much. In the picture you have shown us, there are many places around the mainland Japan where methane gas is found. But I didn't see any sign of methane found around Okinawa. So are there no places in Okinawa where you can find methane? In the map near Okinawa, I didn't see any methane symbols. Does that mean that there aren't any places around Okinawa where you can find methane?
No, I can't find Okinawa.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yoshimoto, and thank you very much, Mr. Shinzato. Next is presenter number 2, Ms. Alice Shiroma. from Okinawa Amit International Junior High School. The title is Changing Our Common Sense.
Wait, are there people who are dating with the same gender? 2 years ago, I was watching a movie as I normally did, and suddenly, I heard a word that I never heard before. Hey mom, what does lesbian mean? I asked my mom. This was the first time that I noticed the existence of LGBTQ. Hi, my name is Alex from Amicus, and I am here to talk about LGBTQ community. Do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? We all ask this question very often to each other, but remember that there are people who are difficult to answer. But why is that? It might be because they are LGBTQ people. I am 14 years old, and I want to change this world from a place where almost everyone can feel happiness to a place where everyone can feel happiness. But how can just only one 14 years old changing this big world? So I am talking in front of everyone about this right here, right now. 1-800-273-8255. This is a song made by Logic. And this is a story of a boy who is shunned by public, blacked out, lose his leg, and driven to suicide because he is gay. This is not based on a real story, but people who are feeling like him are of course in our real life. I was a little curious about this type. This looks like a phone number, so I researched it on the net, and I found this was the phone number of National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. For it to be such a song, is that a suicide big problem in LGBTQ community? Just how often do they commit suicide? According to graph from Nippon.com, in total, more than 60% of transgender in Japan commit suicide. Can you believe that? I mean, more than half of transgenders try to kill themselves because they weren't treated like normal people. This is very disappointing part, and we have to work on right now. Recently, I noticed that Japan has been incorporating LGBTQs into our daily lives. Good examples of this: a multi-purpose toilet at Barco City. This is photo I took at Barco City, and as you see, this is the same color as LGBTQ flag. Additionally, I heard Japan might be allowing same-gender marriage. I thought, but it wasn't true. In the world, 29 countries are still admitting same-gender marriage. What happened to other 167 countries? There are too many that don't. But unfortunately, Japan is one of those. Maybe the reason Japan is not admitting is because we are low birth rate and high longevity, or religion related. I didn't know the main reason, but when I researched it, the main reason was because of law. Law of Japan is discriminating LGBTQ. For instance, the definitions of marriage is a man and a woman became wife and husband. Honestly, when I first saw that, I was really mad, because that's wrong. Why do we have to fit into the gender category? Also, according to NPO's article, it is logistically impossible to eliminate homosexual discriminations in Japan because law of Japan is discriminating against it. They can marry their person they love just because of one law. No matter who we like, how we live, what colors we are, the reality that we are all same humans cannot be changed. This is not difficult to understand at all. All we need to do right now is to respect and understand each other. Everyone feels difficult is because we are stuck in a common sense that ourselves has made it. And since our society has made it, we can change it too. Look around us, it's 2021. Isn't it time for us to change our mind? There are still many things that we should fix to make this world a comfortable place for everyone. After presenting the speech at my school, there were some little changes made. This is a photo of the grade 3 and 4 area in my school. And as you see, this shows my message was heard by some teachers who listened to my speech. The total change after I gave this speech. Even though I am 40 years old, I could make this change happen. Yes, I am 40 years old, And I want to change this world from a place where almost everyone can feel happiness to a place where everyone can feel happiness. But how can just only one potent soul change this big world? So I talked in front of everyone about this today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. Are there any questions? Ms. Heather, please.
Congratulations on choosing such an important topic, and I really appreciate your passion around it, so well done. You have a small audience here. There are, I don't know, 20 or 30 of us here, and hopefully more people watching. Do you have an idea or two about what all of us could do to help support this important topic?
I think we should share this information more to the top government. So I decided to participate in this speech. So I hope that one of each people should think this every time, and we should stop discriminating even though we didn't. So I think sharing this thinking is very important.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Mr. Driver, please ask your question.
Thank you for your speech. It was very interesting. Can you explain to us how you think a law can be changed?
I think that most is because to fix the law, government has to move for us. So I want to keep participating to this kind of speech to tell the message to the government, so they can maybe think about that and talk around the world and change the law.
Thank you.
Any questions? Do you have?
I'll ask another follow-up.
Please.
Thank you. You had said that you spoke at your school, which is wonderful, and that some teachers made some changes. What sort of response did you get from your peers, from other students?
From that I get everyone said you choose a really good topic because no one has given me this LGBTQ speech in my school. And so everyone said, after I gave this speech, from the social studies lessons, there were the human teachers with some LGBTQ and how can we solve this problem using the lessons. So I was really happy about that.
Yes, it sounds like you're having a good time. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shiroma. Okay, we will move on to the next presenter. Presenter number 3, Ms. Rina Iha, from Okinawa Christian University. The title is How We Deal with Social Inequality. Please start.
Hello, I'm Rina, and I would like to talk about social inequality in Japan. We repeatedly see the term social disparity in media, such as print media and TV news. In fact, it was selected as the most popular word in Japan. Here's the data that shocked me when I watched a TV program on Japanese economy. This graph shows the gap between the rich and poor. And if you look at the level of poverty in Japan, it is getting worse. Furthermore, it is not only adults who are economically deprived, but children are also greatly affected. This is especially true here in Okinawa. Statistics show that 1 in 7 children between the ages of 0 and 18 live below the poverty line. As a matter of fact, my younger sister's classmate has only 1 meal a day. Why does the level of poverty in Japan continue to decline and the rich get richer and richer? My guess is that this is the difference in understanding how to handle money to live and survive. As an example of money education, Visa, major credit company, offers free game called financial football, which can be used by children as young as 11 years old to gain knowledge about life planning, such as how to deposit money, invest money, and whether revolving credit is a really good choice. The creator of this game combined the basic knowledge about money needed in life with the rules of football, making it easy for children to play. Not only are there the educational material that people can use to learn and enjoy, but the Council of Economic Education conducts research on money education. Here's the data about money education in the US. In Japan, a survey was conducted asking if money knowledge education was adequate. Most teachers and parents across Japan felt that it was inadequate. Therefore, my suggestion is to incorporate money education into what children in elementary school upper grade learn. 3 basic things should be taught in money education. First, how to get in the habit of saving money, starting with 100 yen a week or month. They should set an appropriate spending limit and develop this habit when they're young. Second, teach them what debt is, how to avoid it, and how to buy expensive items like cars at the cheapest price. If you buy a car with a loan at 10%, the price will be much more expensive than you initially think. So children should learn how debt works. Third, educate them how to shop according to what they really need, not what they want. Many people tend to buy brand name products such as Apple products because they're influenced by their surroundings. One way to learn about the value of money is to have children choose how to spend money based on their financial situation and whether they really need something else. In Japan, there's a growing movement to teach people how money works. I found something interesting called Hoop Money Drill. It does not seem like much when you hear the name, but it was created by Japan's financial service agency and publishing company, Bunkyosha. This does not focus on one correct answer, but teaches good options when kids receive an allowance and what options there are other than spending. Seminars and class time at school can help not only teachers, but parents learn about fundamental financial concepts and pass this knowledge onto their children. In conclusion, the best way to decrease the income gap is to increase the interest in money education among children. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have? Mr. Hashimoto, please ask your question.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wondered, you focused on the money education is one the best solution for this inequality in society. But it seems to me you are focused on the sort of consumption side. Do you have any specific opinion about inequality or, how should I say, the distribution of the wealth in the society, the gap in distributing the wealth in the society? Is this another big problem to tackle with, or, as you said, money education is more important?
Could you reword the question?
So, well, you talked about the money education, saying that that's the best, the solution for this the gap for the inequality. But it's about the consumption side, especially for the children to how to spend. But before that, or in addition to that, I thought the distribution of the wealth in the society, inequality in distribution of the wealth. Don't you think that's another big problem?
I believe from as a whole society. Well, I think this is a perception from the macroeconomy, which is from the government opinion or ventures opinion. But my suggestion is seeing from the microeconomy, which is to adapt to the children and one person and each person, and educate them when they're young, can also build up more knowledge about economy, and then when they get older and older, they will have their enough knowledge to deal with difficulties such as financial situation. That's why I suggested this. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, we are running out of time, so please fill out the form. We will welcome to the next presenter. Presenter number 4, Ms. Isabella Stefania Krebuska from Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology Graduate University. The title is Unequal in Understanding Unequal, How Human Kindness Teaches One Thing, but Our Rights for Comfort Does Another. Please start.
I grew up in a developed country. I was an only child and the daughter of healthcare workers. There was always enough money in the household to buy books and travel locally, but we couldn't afford going out to dinner every other night, so I was really jealous of all my friends who would go to restaurants with their parents. I have always been praised for being a girl, and I have always been praised for excelling academically. So growing up, I thought, well, that's all I know. That means that life is easy in general for everyone. And then I learned that the biggest threat the modern societies are facing at the moment is the growing disparities in the world where our resources are already limited. My name is Isabella Kremska, and I will now quickly guide you through my ideas about how to create an ideal society. There are different factors that can jeopardize social justice. The growing gap income, climate injustice, discrimination, they all affect one's access to resources like healthcare and sustenance and quality education. Did you know that out of 2 billion school-aged children, 120 million don't go to school at all? Actually, when you think about it, it's not that big of a number. But according to UNICEF, 620 million others never reach proficiency in reading and math, despite being at school. Doesn't that mean that the whole system is flawed? Well, in my ideal society, I would like to redefine the term of education. And not only provide people with equal opportunities to access education, not limited by wealth or physical distance, but also teach children of what they're learning and why they're studying and what they're learning for, to enhance their natural competences and to encourage lifelong training. Of course, chasing grades and uniforms, they're great, but they should not be our main concern. I think social justice should actually be taught at school. I know that many politicians would disagree, but the more facts we know, the better we think. And if we think, well, we're more likely to judge and be judged based on our qualifications and not on where we're coming from. Diversity can be used as a tool, and discrimination is completely unnatural to us as humankind. When I was 6, I used to play a lot in the playground outside of my house, and my best friend at the time was another girl, a daughter of a Romani family. And my mom never learned about this until many years later. Because I was open as a child, I didn't mind that her skin was so much darker. That means that we're not born with prejudice. And in my ideal society, unfair treatment based on prejudice is unheard of. The whole idea is not to take it down. It is to make sure that it never even emerges in the first place. Because only by learning from one another, we can assimilate and consolidate, to ensure fair distribution of responsibility and protection of the vulnerable. In the current climate crisis, we have a lot of companies who are very unwilling to take the blame for not taking action when the time was right. But these are not the ones affected by the water shortage. 1/10 of world's population is currently scarce of drinking water. These are not the members of the government who say that we should recycle. Fine. I love recycling. And I don't eat meat. That's fine. But it's not enough. And the awareness and the accessibility should be arranged on both individual and organizational level. This discussion could really go on for hours. And I'm happy to do that after the contest. But let me just conclude with maybe an optimistic belief that under appropriate leadership, we can one day actually live in a society that's just and equal, where the income gap is not really that big of a problem and nobody struggles to afford the basic level of living, where the earth is actually habitable, where we don't discriminate and are all treated equally and cared for, and where we're all educated in whatever we're good at, but most of all in social justice. Because it doesn't really matter that I am well off if my Romani best friend from 20 years ago never graduated elementary school and struggles to feed her 3 kids. I don't know when was the last time she ever saw a doctor. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have, please?
Well done. Your passion for this topic really came through. So you're at OIST, which means you're a PhD student.
Yes.
Studying science.
Yes.
Between hearing your passion for such an important social issue and imagining that you're very qualified in a scientific field, can you talk to us a little bit about how could you bring those together to have, I guess, the biggest impact possible? How can you reconcile or bring together these two fields?
Of course. Well, if I may, I am actually a neuropsychology major, and I work with children with ADHD, who are very broadly discriminated against, especially in the school and work environment. My personal mission, not only through my work, but also through my private life, I would say, is ensuring that the stigma is taken away from these kids that actually suffer a lot because of the disease that they have, but also by how society treats them. Of course, bringing awareness is the most important thing that we can do, and I am very lucky to be working in the scientific environment because it seems that a lot of people are actually enlightened and conscious of the problems that are going on right now in the world. And I think we should use this power to also make sure that people who, well, did not have the luck to be as educated and did not acquire this much diversity in their life as we did, also understand the problem and are given the solutions in a more consumable way.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Ishii, please ask your question.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is, what would you say to a child regarding education? What would you say to a child who wants to concentrate on athletics or art? I don't want to study. I don't want to go to school. I want to be #1 football player in the world. What would you say to a child like that?
Well, that's absolutely fine for you to want to be the #1 football player in the world. And if you train and if you devote yourself, absolutely go for it. Remember though that, well, you have to have very basic abilities in math, in literature, in understanding the world and in history, because, well, you still have to do your own groceries and you still have to live with the other parts of the society. You still need to understand the political situation in your country. So, yes, why not? Let's enhance what they're good at, while at the same time ensuring that they're getting the quality education to the level that will help them thrive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time, so let's move on to the next presenter. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Presenter number 5, Miss Miu Iwamura from Okinawa Shogak High School. The title is Progress Status and Solutions of Child Poverty. Please start.
Hello everyone, I'm Miu Iwamura, and I would like to talk about current status and solutions of child poverty. First of all, please look at this picture. This is a picture of twins taken by Diane Art, who is a well-known photographer. You may also have seen this photograph in a movie called Shining. Her artistic pictures have been highly appreciated, and it inspired us to know then what made her so famous and highly appreciated. Of course, it is thanks to her own effort and ingenuity, but I think her upbringing has a huge effect. She was born into a wealthy artistic family, if she had not born into a wealthy artistic family, it is very likely that she had not been so successful. Although there are some successful people who are born into underprivileged environments, children born into such circumstances have less chance to grab their bright future. Poverty is a multi-generation chain, keeping many from reaching their full potential. And it not only hurts them, but also limits our entire society. And I think the most effective way to solve this problem is to making children's dining room after-school programs. And I would like to talk about the reason in terms of educational opportunities and nutrition for children. The first one is educational opportunities. Educational disparities due to the economic disparities are more likely to often occur out of the school education. Now this is a graph, and 60 to 70% is out of the school educational expenses. For example, doctor's child can get a stable job by getting various support for education, such as from school or references book. And also in this graph, university enrollment rate after graduating from high school is 40% less than all households. So as a result, these differences in educational affect not only the career path of the child, but also their future profession. Next, so what we need to do for them is to provide them with a place to study. Next, imagine that you have only one meal to nourish your day. In fact, there are so many students who do not eat properly because of the poverty. And this is the graph of relationship between breakfast intake and academic ability. Students who did not eat all perform lower in these subjects than those who did. So without a nutrition foundation, it becomes almost impossible to achieve their potential. Now we can see the link between the nutrition and the educational opportunity. Then what are the solutions? The first thing we can think of is financial support. In fact, there is a liquid protection welfare system in Japan. However, it provides them a minimum amount they require for basic food necessary. And it ignores the academic needs of the children. While it may seem like a good idea to increase the financial support, there is a problem with this approach. The first, that money is more likely to go other than the student's needs, and also the citizens will be more upset by giving more money to people who don't work. My solution is to tackle both programs in one place. In Sakai City, there is a program which offers elderly people a place from homes released by family residents to make community more attractive. I think this is a great start. Imagine combining with the space for learning opportunity provided by trained teachers. This provides the children with a proper dinner. This provides the parents peace of mind knowing that their kids are safe. And additionally, this will make the stronger community where people can learn they are being part of the community that cares about each other. Finally, this poverty problem is not their problem, but ours. By creating a solution like this one, we can benefit to everyone. I believe that our future will be better if the society as a whole, especially the younger generation, reaches out and takes action. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What question do you have? Please, Ms. Yoshimoto. Great.
Thank you for your important speech. So you are proposing after-school lunchroom, and I wonder exactly how this project can be achieved. I mean, for example, where do you have this kind of place, and how do you get the food? In other words, financially, where do the food comes from?
Well, I think this project is beneficial for children because they can learn, and the food is, I think food can be collected by volunteers, and many residents can bring their food, and so I think children can go there for free by volunteering food from the residents.
And where will it take place? Where?
Where? I think we can make this place where where many people are there, so I think school is great.
Thank you, Dr. Yoshimoto. Mr. Noah?
No, Dr. Yoshimoto asked the same question. I was going to ask.
Thank you very much. What any questions do you have? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Imamura. Okay, let's move on to the next presenter. Presenter number 6, Ms. Adriana May Mercado from Conan High School. The title is Japan Gender Inequality. Please start.
When I heard there was an English presentation contest about gender, I was so excited and applied right away. I thought this is a great opportunity to gather my thoughts and research how can Japan improve gender equality. I had 2 experiences that motivated me to apply. Last year, Conan held a curriculum called Conan Manadiba. A group of students gathered and composed a presentation of Sustainable Development Goals, which I learned about the gender gap goal. The second experience was when my mother and I attended a lecture at Tirujuku, Okinawa Gender Equality Center. The guest speaker, Ms. Asako Osaki, is a well-known specialist in gender development policies in Japan. In the lecture, she spoke about SDGs, gender gap, and women's empowerment. After attending a lecture and participating in the Konan Manadiba School project, I found myself interested in learning more about gender equality. Let's start with a question. Where is Japan ranked in the Gender Gap Index 2021? The World Economic Forum ranked Japan 120th out of 156 countries. To measure this gap among 156 countries, The World Economic Forum uses gender gap index numbers. We pulled this interesting data from the Cabinet Office website. Index number 1 shows there is no gender gap. Why is Japan ranked so low? The World Economic Forum said the level of women's participation in political and economics area in Japan remain low. So today I decided to talk about the economics area. In the category of economics area, a good example is the salary between women and men for equal work. Why is there a gap for salary? After women get educated and have a career they want to pursue, they will most likely quit when they have a family. When women decide to go back for work, their salary will begin at the very basic, so that is why the salary gap begins. And women want to get paid equal amount of salary like men. How can we ask men, how can we prevent women from stopping working for a family? Or how can we ask men to share the load of supporting a family and raising a child? Where I live, there's an event called Gender Equality Slogan Contest, which is held by the Chatham Town Gender Equality Office. When I was in elementary school, our class thought about the slogan. I read the slogans that were chosen, and it opened my eyes. I did not realize that there were gender discrimination at schools, home, and workplaces. It is called unconscious bias. I grew up with my parents, and they raised me with no gender discrimination at home. They both worked full-time and shared the same amount of housework and childcare support. They always tell me we accomplish everything as a team with a smile. And I thought this team effort idea is a very good way to understand about gender equality. A survey by the Ministry of International Affairs and Communications tells us that household-related time for men is about 38 minutes in a day, and women's time is about 3 hours and 29 minutes. And this is a big gap that you can tell that men's time is about 1/5 of women's time. This is the meaning of unconscious bias. And I would like to recommend a couple of ideas that we can promote gender equality to society. The first idea is very simple and efficient. Think as one team. The smallest team at home, parents often need to split household work equally and share childcare support. If done so, the children will grow in an environment that gender equality is normal. The second idea is to take this matter as a bigger team. For example, like schools should increase time to think about gender equality and bring awareness to the students. And more bigger team, we ask for government and company support for media and publicity promotion about gender equality. Maybe making a radio commercial contest, that would be interesting. I strongly suggest these two ideas. I believe it will make changes. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. Do you have any questions? Please, Mr. Dor.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. You mentioned that Japan ranked 120th on the Gender Equality Index. Do you know how that index is calculated?
It is calculated by 4 key areas: health, education, politics, and economics. These 4 indicators linked together to make a sustainable development, to make less gender gap and better life together.
Thank you very much. Can I ask one follow-up question?
Please.
You mentioned politics. How exactly is that defined? Is it women's participation in parliament or things like that?
Yes, in politics area, they calculate how many women are in work as a court judge or politicians.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Please, Mr. Ishii.
Thank you for your presentation. What do you think about the gender inequality in Okinawa compared to other places of Japan, and what the reason for it?
Okinawa is also very similar to mainland Japan, but in Okinawa the salary gap is more, you can tell very easily compared to mainland Japan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Benogado. This concludes the first half of the presentations by our first 6 participants. I was very impressed with the way each of them presented their own opinion in clear and understandable manner. We will now take about a 10-minute break and resume at 2:30. Okay, it seems like everyone is here, so we'd like to begin with presentations by our next 5 presenters. Presenter number 7, Ms. Managa Hiyane from Yokatsu High School. The title is Coming in 120th Place. Can Japan Become Genderless? Please start.
Hello everyone, my name is Managa Hiyane. I would like to thank everyone for attending today's presentation contest. First, I would like to ask the audience a question. Who comes to mind when you hear someone who cleans their house? Of course, each family is different, but I imagine a mother or a woman in general. Many people in the audience probably feel the same. I have one more question. Have you ever heard of the phrase gender gap or genderless before? And do you know their meaning? The phrase gender gap refers to difference made because they are either male or female. It is like categorizing things or people as being girly or manly. The genderless is the idea of removing the label of gender completely. In my presentation, I will be talking about these 2 key terms, gender gap and being genderless. 144 out of 153. That is the rank of Japan's equality of male and female members in Japanese politics compared to the world. Gender discrimination within Japan can be seen in salaries based on one's gender and the low number of female politicians in Japanese government. One memorable example is the Tokyo Olympic Committee Chair Yoshiro Mori, who made a statement that having many women in the meeting makes the meeting run for longer than planned. After making this discriminatory remark, he was heavily criticized. The issue with his remark lies not only with his defamation of females, but also these types of comments become common. I have also experienced sexist remarks such as, "It is a bother if women get upset as they cause a hassle." After hearing Mr. Mori's comment, I clearly remembered my irritation that I felt during my own experience. Another example is a politician, Ms. Mia Sugita, who said, "Women always lie during a support campaign for sexual assault victims." What she said can be considered second rape, in which psychological, emotional trauma are inflicted on sexual assault and rape victims. These types of comments make it difficult for victims to further express their situation. Were you able to notice something in common with these two remarks? The people making these types of comments are people of power and status in our society. Even if criticized, the public opinion would hardly change. Next. 165 of 191. That is the rank of Japan's number of female politicians. With there being few chances for females to represent in politics, I'm ashamed to have people like Ms. Sugita representing women in our government. Don't you feel it is because of these people and values making Japan a gender-free society is almost close to impossible? If that is true, then what can we do? We need to realize and face up to our actions. At the beginning of my presentation, I stated I think of my mother or women in general, women who asked who usually keeps the house clean. This is an example of gender gap. As long as we keep thinking about this kind of thought, it will be impossible for our society to change into a genderless one. To dissolve gender gap within Japanese politics, we must vote for politicians willing to make an impact and listen to the needs of younger generations. By doing this, Japan's government will surely advance towards a genderless society. This chance to speak in front of you all is the one step towards making the dream into reality. And Laura Hepper, the first openly transgender woman who competed in this year's Tokyo Olympics, said, "I wanted to just be myself." After hearing her comment, I realized we should not look at one's gender or race, but focus on the person inside, the thing that matters. Today, when going home, why don't you take some time and reflect upon yourself or your own mindset? You may discover something you didn't know before. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have? Ms. Yang, please ask your question.
Thank you very much for that passionate approach to an important topic. Are young women in Japan interested in pursuing politics as a career these days? And I guess the answer is yes or no. Could you tell me why or why not? Could you tell me more about that?
Sorry, could you speak more slowly?
Of course. Are young women in Japan interested in politics? Are they thinking about politics for a career? Why?
I think younger women have interesting about politics, but they don't go vote for politicians. So I think younger generation wants to vote for politicians to make an impact, are willing to make an impact and listen to the needs of younger generation.
And what about you? Are you interested in politics?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hian. Please fill out the forms. So let's move on to the next presenter. Presenter number 8, Ms. Megumi Ikehara from Okinawa Christian University. The title is Vote for Your Future. Please.
Hello, my name is Megumi Ikehara. I'm currently studying English at Okinawa Christian University. Today, I want to know how important gender equality is in our life. The reason why I want to tackle this issue of gender equality is because of a video I watched on YouTube. It was the He She speech by M. Watson at the event. I only found it by coincidence, but it led me to start thinking about gender issues. According to the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare, in Japan, men account for more than 70% of all suicides, and about 40% of male suicides are among middle-aged people aged 45 to 64. It seems clear then that there is a lot of pressure on men in society. Another fact to keep in mind is that there has never been a female prime minister in Japan. On the contrary, according to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the number of female parliamentary politicians is 9.9%, which ranks Japan 166 out of 191 countries globally as of January 2021. The global average is 24.9%. This appears to indicate that women don't have a chance in Japan because of a general belief that it is impossible for a woman to be the leader or take on leadership or representative roles. Realization of a gender equal society means that we can express ourselves and live as ourselves without any judgment or any limit. In order to meet that goal, we need to change education and school environment, and we must look to start this early. The target should be students from the 1st to 3rd year of junior high school. Firstly, we need to rethink the system of school uniform. This is what divides males and females the most, creating an environment that draws a divisive line between males and female students. I think that it is better to create a system in which students can choose for themselves. Secondly, we should hold a vote for your future regularly in class. Through junior high school life, in order to express themselves and get to know themselves deeply, it is important to give students time to look at themselves and hear many other opinions. The way to do that is in a democratic manner. An event that the students plan together or a decision that the class comes to as a whole would be perfect. This includes even small things. For example, what do Mother's Day presents do? What are we going to sing for school choir song, and so on. 1 or 2 candidates take part together in the election. As they are junior high school students, it might be hard to work alone. However, if 2 people work together, it would be a good opportunity for them. 3 groups proposed something in each vote. The reason for this is that students would be able to concentrate more, and they would also not forget the ideas of all groups. All other classmates are voters. They write down the group they think was best and write 3 good things and 1 piece of advice. The student who wrote a good reason or good advice will be announced to everyone later. In this way, students will think about it more deeply. By doing this, they can feel the responsibility of their own choices and the importance of voting. Also, this can develop their critical thinking and decision-making ability. Candidate students need to think about what's good for everyone. In addition, from the comments written on the ballot paper, they can hear a lot of opinions and reflect one's further. What I think is most necessary to become a genderless society is for people to work together and to realize how important it is to be themselves. This vote for your future is regardless of gender. The idea is that what you've chosen will actually happen in the future. Students start to think and feel how important it is to have their own opinion and express it through this project. Gender equality is part of our freedom. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have? With Ms. Heather Young.
So your solutions are very creative. Excellent, thank you. Can you talk to me about why is there such a disproportionate number of men and women contestants today? Yes, of course. So your fellow participants, your fellow contestants, there's not equal gender representation today. So there's more women competing today than men. So in your opinion, why is that?
So you mean why I choose this topic?
Not just you, but your opinion about why there are so many more women competing today than men.
And just in this presentation, I want to say that thinking about gender equality is important, and we need to think about it more deeply, not only women, not only men, and we think about it together. That's the good way to solve this gender inequality society, and we can create a genderless society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay, Mr. Ishii, please.
Thank you. You introduced the suicide rate in the beginning. So could you explain more about how suicide rate relates to the gender inequality?
Men suicide. In Japan, men account for more than 70% of all suicides, and about 40% of male suicides are among middle-aged people, aged 45 to 64. So I think it's very high because women, and in Japan there's women, 5% women and 5% male. But why was this only men suicide is 70%? So I just want to say that.
Thank you. And so the follow-up question would be, what do you think will happen to the rate if the gender equality is achieved?
If gender equality achieved, men don't have to be aggressive, and women feel more free, not limited by gender. So I think that more increasing the suicide rate, so it would help the gender equality created gender equality is more important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ikehara. Judges, please fill out the form. Next is presenter number 9, Ms. Hinari Arashiro from Naha Kokusai Senior High School. The title is How to Truly Realize a Genderless Society. Please start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please regard this image. Do you know what it represents? It shows the average time spent doing housework of your working parents who have infants in Japan. There is a 6-hour time difference, 7 hours and 7 minutes for women and 1 hour and 20 minutes for men. As you can see, there are many situations in Japan that are disadvantageous to women. In fact, according to the Global Gender Gap Report 2021, Japan ranks 120th out of 156 countries. This ranking consists of 4 sectors: politics, economy, education, and health. Of these, I will focus on education because the best way is to change the consciousness of children who will bear the future. How can we realize a truly genderless society? I have 3 suggestions. First, we should incorporate a class to learn about feminism into elementary school curriculum. Many people often misunderstand feminism. They suggest that it means giving females an advantage, right? No, the meaning of feminism is not to give an advantage to women, but it means that all genders are equal. In order to realize an equal gender society, it is essential to put yourself in the other gender's shoes. Elementary school students are open-minded and begin to have differences between men and women learn about feminism in class. For example, why gender inequality occurs, the fact that if there is no difference in ability between men and women, and the correct knowledge of sexual information, the perception of LGBTQ, and much more. By doing so, they will be able to see the problem of sexual discrimination as their own, and they realize that children can do anything what they like regardless of gender. My second suggestion is to change the contents of textbook to be more genderless. According to Minomi Fumio's 2015 study of gender represented in elementary school textbooks, 69% of the characters in the textbook were men, and 18% were women. In addition, according to your study on how men and women are portrayed in textbooks, 40% of these portrayals are related to fixed roles, such as women inside and men outside. Textbooks are something that many children see and learn from. That's why the contents of textbooks should not be fixed but diversified. Now let's take a look at the expression found in social studies textbook for the lower grades to an elementary textbook from Sweden. Dad is reading a book to his child, and the other child is playing with toys. Mom said she's going to be late for an important job tonight, isn't she? My grandmother is very good at driving a car. She doesn't mind whether it's a narrow road or steep road.
These sentences indicated that our father is babysitting, and the children know why their mother comes home late due to work, and the woman can do anything that men can do. This will let children think more freely. My third suggestion related to what we can do. It's to raise our voice. The other day, when I was cleaning the classroom, a male classmate said, "Cleaning is done by girls, so I don't have to do it." I couldn't say anything back then. Also, I was surprised how he could say such a terrible thing. Perhaps he is ignorant. He didn't learn such a thing in his education so far, and he hasn't been taught that way of thinking is wrong. Because of these people, gender discrimination is allowed to exist. If you deny it, you can change it. Now, let's go back to the situation and say it first. Cleaning is done by girls, so I don't have to do it. No, it is not only girls clean up. It is not decided only girls clean up. Boys and girls should cooperate together. Like this, I recommend you say firm and calm down. But when it comes to the actual situation, I might say terrible things. In order to achieve a genderless society, we first need to know the problem. We also need to eliminate the wrong sense of sexuality that has taken root. We need to deny the wrong way of thinking. And 30 years later, I will get married and have a child. And the child said, "Hey Daddy, what's for dinner?" They no longer have a fixed ideas of gender. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have? Dr. Yoshimoto, please ask your question.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I thought all the 3 things that you mentioned to solve this problem are very important and they are necessary. And regarding the third thing that you mentioned, that is raising your voice, it is true. I think many people realize that that's important. But in real context, it's not very easy to actually raise your voice, especially in a culture like Japan or Okinawa. How do you think you can change this, environment or culture of not raising voice?
Yes. If we didn't say anything, nothing will change because the people's thoughts don't change easily. So we need to think about future to become future more better society. So we have to we have to deny, we have to raise our voice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Shiro. Judges, please fill up the Before moving to the next presentation, now is the time for the judges to complete their scoring for the presentation. Scorekeeper, would you please correct the score sheet? Timekeepers, please give your report to the scorekeeper. Okay, now let's move on to the remaining 2 presentations. Sorry. Now let's move on to the remaining two presentations. Presenter number 10, Ms. Urasoe from Okinawa Christian University. The title is Create an Equal Society. Please start.
Hello, my name is Urasoe. I would like to talk about gender pay gap in Japan. I became interested in this topic partly because of my father's instant comment. When I told him my friends found a job and a shared starting salary, he said, "Wow, that's pretty good for women." And I was surprised at his comment, and I found out there was a wage gap between men and women. And I wondered how people my age think about this problem. So I surveyed the college students. Here is the result. 50% of respondents answered that this situation should be changed and the wage gap should be equal. There are many factors to the wage gap. But for today, I would like to focus on Japan's work culture and employment trends. Let's look at some graphs. This graph, the gender wage gap from the OECD website, as you can see, it shows Japan has the wage gap about 25%. The gender gap index 2021 presents the gender gap about ranking of G7. What is shocking is Japan ranks at 120th, which is the lowest of all and much behind other countries. I believe the one of the reasons lies in Japan's work culture. Japan expects its workers to long work hours, as well as pay employees according to seniority. This situation works against the women because the norm in Japan that women are primary caregivers. Many women take maternity or childcare leave. They have to break off their career temporarily. The total years of service are shorter than those male counterparts. As a result, they have fewer opportunities to make career advancements or to get promoted. In addition, some women may feel they have to choose either having children or their careers. Having children is not only matter of personal satisfaction. It is vital to having stable economic and prosperous country. Therefore, it is something should be celebrated and encouraged. This graph is published by the Gender Equality Bureau. In Japan, the wife spends 7.5 hours on housework, including childcare per day, while husbands only contribute less than 90 minutes. The 90 minutes for students that translates to take only class a day. Here is another chart from the Japan Equality Bureau. You can see about 4 times more women work as a part-time than men do. The easiest and simplest we can do is to better the situation for women and men, to spend equal amount of time on running households. If husband spends 3 more hours on housework, the wives can have 3 more hours to build their careers. Next is to create a climate where taking leave, such as maternity or paternity leave. The company, each workplace could support the workers on leave, and the workplace could send simple and small gifts such as free coffee or lunch coupon. Being mutually supportive and doing so are very rewarding. Therefore, it may be an incentive for male workers to take leave. Soon, women and men would take leave equally and will reduce pay gap. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What question do you have? Please, Ms. Yan, ask your question.
Thank you very much. Your introduction was excellent when you talked about your data in that conversation. Could you talk a little bit about, more personally, why do you care about this topic, you personally?
Why did I choose?
Why do you care about it?
I'm a university student, and soon I have to find a job. So there is this situation. I don't want to work in this situation because I want I want to be recognized that my work asks you for.
Maybe a follow-up? Thank you. We talked a lot about having everything equal, so equality, which is, of course, a good argument. What if instead of that, what if you had the freedom to choose, right? What if you wanted to choose? Then you could choose whether you did more housework or less housework or different opportunities in your job. So I guess my question to you is everything being equal always the best answer?
Can you rephrase?
Yes, absolutely. You talked about equal time at home and equal time at work. You said, oh, if the man does, I think, 3 hours more than the woman, but I'm proposing to you that another argument, I suppose, is that it's the freedom to choose. That in some households it might be appropriate, or not appropriate, it might be the best choice to have the woman do more housework. But of course, in other households it might be the choice the other way, where the men do more housework. And so if everyone has a choice, the way to choose and negotiate, then I'm asking you if you think that's a reasonable solution. Or do you think everything being equal is the best, is always the best way?
I'm afraid if I understood your question, generalist society is all equal, I think. So, of course, housework or the work system should be equal.
Well, perhaps my question is more for personal reflection than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Okuma. Judges, please clear off the forms. Finally, we would like to welcome the last presenter, Ms. Kurumi Inaku from Okinawa Christian University. The title is Gender and Education.
Hello everyone, my name is Kurumi Inaku. I'm a student of Okinawa Christian University. First, thanks for giving me this wonderful opportunity today. I'm really nervous, but I'm excited. Thank you. So, let me ask you one question. Genderless is a word that we hear a lot, but do you understand what it means? I think many people may have heard of it, but don't really understand it. Genderless is a mindset that aims to social and cultural differences based on biological facts. It means dispelling the idea of being a man or being a woman. It refers to a way of thinking that tries to create a society where people can live equality regardless of gender. It's my own experience that led me to choose this topic. Let me tell you about my friend who has siblings who is LGBT. The person is gay and wears women's clothes like TV celebrity must look black. My friend had talked about her siblings to her colleagues. The word that came back made her confused. What do you think the colleague said? The word is funny. She thought, why do they think about that? My siblings, I just thought about their gender. I also heard they had been abused by strangers for being LGBT. The reason why I choose this topic because I sympathize with my friends and I wanted to learn more about LGBT and gender. So let me get into the main subject. In my presentation, I decided to focus on gender issues. For example, it's difficult for men to take maternity leave. Men and women pay differently for their work. Same-sex marriage is not adopted in Japan. School students are not able to choose between skirt and pants for their uniform. Then I decided to focus this issue because I want to address the issue closest to us. Gender discrimination against men, women, and LGBT people. Why is there gender gap in the discrimination? According to an OECD study, children as young as 5 have gender bodies. It's often said the gender bodies that we have therefore change. For these reasons, I believe the school is important for determining our sense of gender. However, if you ask me whether almost all schools are trying to teach about gender, I can say yes. Take a look at these figures. What's this number? 11.9. It refers to a percentage of junior high school students who have learned about sexual minorities. Today, Japan is aiming for a genderless world based on SDGs. However, the teacher hasn't been trying to teach about gender to teach the students. Why not? Because they don't think they need to teach about gender and they don't know about gender. There still is some issue in gender education. What's this? Yes, it is textbook. I think you probably used it before, haven't you? The main character in the story is 70% male and 20% female and 10% unknown. We naturally get sense of gender through our textbook. For example, personal pronouns. We are aware of use some for female and for male. It's not only in textbook, but also in our daily lives. Have you ever been told to be a man or to be a woman? I've been told many times. I wonder now why I had so many times told something, but I wasn't when I was a child. Why not? Because I took it for granted and I didn't try to learn about gender. I think Japan should make it obligatory to teach gender education at school. I believe if teachers learn about gender to teach the students, gender equality will naturally get into us from the children generation. Next, I'd like to give you some example or deal with this issue in Japan. For example, there are some efforts to solve these problems. For example, personal pronouns. One elementary school has unified using some after the names to avoid gender distinctions. And in textbook, LGBT was covered in ethics textbook in 2018 and are now covered in health and physical textbook. Another issue is school students are being able to choose between skirts and pants. In Okinawa, there are a few more schools, school where students can make a choice. I have talked about some concrete solutions. In fact, there is something we can do right now to help solve this problem. What do you think one of the most important things is? Knowing. If we don't know about this problem, we might express our values such as manly and womanly to others. However, if we know about gender, it will be easier for us to accept our existence. The most important thing is know and face them as individual, not as a man and woman. I'm going to finish my presentation with my words. Please know about LGBT and gender. Please face them as individual, not as a man and a woman. Please challenge yourself. Please be yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's move on to our 3-minute Q&A session. What questions do you have?
Presentation. Can I ask you to be more specific about eliminating the use of personal pronouns in education? Obviously, this is something which is more of an issue in America, but I'm not familiar with the types of pronouns that you could have gender-wise in Japan. So could you please explain a few? Thank you.
And some concrete solutions for Japan.
Oh, actually, my question was just that. I wanted you to give examples of personal pronouns that you think should not be used in education in Japan.
I heard from the teacher who is elementary school's teacher. So the teacher said that if teachers use pronoun for male and some for female, the teacher said it couldn't be triggered gender distinction. So she said we care all of the use after the names.
Oh, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Can I ask your opinion of you? You focused what's taught in school, but can I ask your opinion about outside school, for example, animation, movie? What kind will those influence have the gender inequality in the society?
I think the most important thing is to know to reach gender, programs of gender. So I had one comic. The LGBT were covered in one comic. The title name is Kochimite Miko. It's famous for, it's popular from the children. So we can, and now, we can learn from the comic about LGBT. So it's important to make the opportunity to reach our gender programs. That's all.
So you recommend people to read those?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Inaku. Judges, please fill out the form. As this was our first presentation contest, I was very much looking forward to seeing how the presentation would turn out. All presentations were really impressive, and it will certainly be a challenge for the judges. At this point, the judges will move to a separate room for deciding the winners. The announcement of the results will begin as soon as it is ready. All presenters are requested to remain on site until decision is reached.
Okay, presenters, please remain seated. We would like to prepare for the awarding ceremony. So, 1 minute, please.
Now the most exciting time has come. Let's move on to the judging commentary and the awards presentation. Mr. Doward will now give comments as chief judge. Then he will announce the result and present a certificate and trophy. When your name is called, please come to the podium to receive a certificate and trophy from Chief Judge Doward.
Well, thank you all very much for participating today. I think all of you were excellent, and the other judges and I were just talking now, and we all agreed that everyone's energy and passion was truly inspiring for all of us, and we also appreciated your use of audio visuals, which was excellent, and we also very much appreciated all the research. We could tell that there was a focus on data, so clearly all of you put in a lot of hard work on this presentation. Thank you very much, and you should all give yourselves a big round of applause. Then without further ado, I'll announce the winners. Number one, the Judges Special Award goes to Alice Shiroha. The Superior Performance Award goes to Hinari Arashiro. The Excellent Performance Award goes to Adriana May Mercado. And finally, the Best Performance Award goes to Isabella Stefania Pereska. suppose I should have been facing the camera all the time in the game before, so I'll do it correctly for the last time. Congratulations. Thank you all again. The judges and I just wanted to make one last comment. We all thought all of you were excellent, but we were really impressed with Ms. or Alice, sorry, I should use a pronoun for gender equality. We were very impressed with Alice Shiroma, who you're only 14, but your passion really inspired all of us. So we think you have a bright future and encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Ben. Congratulations.
All contestants, congratulations. Please give all contestants a big round of applause. Finally, as Master of Ceremonies, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the judges, contestants, helpers, and all of you for supporting us in making this speech contest a success. Thank you very much. This concludes the first annual English presentation contest. Again, thank you all very much. Judges and contestants, we would like to take all memorable photos, so please come forward. Thank you very much.